Music, industry talk, stories, equipment and more. We are Crossfader and this is off the record. Off the record. Off the record.
Welcome to the Crossfader podcast, Off the Record. My name is Jamie Hartley and I'm sat here with three other members of our team. We're going to be talking all things DJ industry related, some of the behind the scenes here at Crossfader, and you'll learn a little bit more about each of the team members. Before we get started with this episode, I just want to introduce the people that are sat around me. So to my left, we have James Holland. He is one of our content creators. He's the writer for our all-important website, and he also heads up App Academy and loads of other stuff here at Crossfader.
Howdy.
Nice to have you on the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're going to be here regularly, so if you are just starting listening to this podcast, you're going to hear a lot from James Holland.
Sorry you got to listen to these mundane tones.
No, don't be sorry. And to my left as well, we have Lawrence James. He's a content creator again for Crossfader. He makes a lot of these awesome mixes that you see go on our socials like YouTube, Instagram, and on Facebook.
Yes, I do. Hello.
Yeah, thank you for being on the podcast, and thank you for taking the time out. And to my right, we have Danny James, who is our content manager and editor. He puts all those cool animations on the videos and makes them look nice and professional, and is a very integral part of the team. Danny, welcome.
Thank you.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, so this is the first time we've done a podcast. We wanted to start something to both inspire, educate, and help, whether you are brand new to the DJ industry or whether you've been in the industry for ages and just want something entertaining to listen to, something insightful to listen to, and to find out a bit more about who we are and what we do. This first episode, we're going to be breaking down beginner DJ equipment, the all-important topic for a lot of new DJs out there. Where do I start? What do I start with? But we're going to approach it in a way. We're going to take it back and go to some of the beginner DJ equipment that we all started with, so you can find out about how the industry has changed and how technology in particular has changed from when we started to what is available now. And we're going to be talking about a few different features that are available on controllers and pieces of equipment that's out nowadays and all sorts more. But let's get stuck in. Is everyone ready to break this down and to explore this?
Hit that reminiscing button.
This is going to be good because I feel like, whoa, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been taken
Perfect.
back.
This is going to be good because I feel like me and you, Jamie, we started a lot before these other guys. So
Yeah. You are
our
old.
experience, I'm old.
You are old.
I'm old.
Yeah,
but
so as a heads up, I'm 29.
I'm 31,
Yep.
going on 18.
I'm 18.
How old are you, Holland?
28.
Yeah.
I just said 31 to 28. You're
Danny,
right.
how old are you?
I'm 22 and that's not a joke.
So, but Holland and Danny did start maybe a bit later than
Yeah.
myself and
Well,
Lawrence.
You guys started at home.
Mm-hmm.
I started in a club.
Yeah.
So like my first experience even seeing a deck properly was in a club. So I was obviously 18. Didn't go out before that.
Yeah, me neither.
Whereas you guys obviously started in your bedroom.
So I started in my bedroom. I was 14 years old. I'd never stepped foot in a club before, so I looked at DJing from the point of view of it was just exciting to be able to mix two songs together and play around with some equipment to like play with your favorite music at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Was that similar for yourself?
Yeah, I just remember being at like a family party and we had a DJ on, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then somebody sold me their belt drive turntables for like £100, and I could only afford 2 vinyl, and I had like 2 vinyl for about 6 months. So I was mixing the same 2 vinyl
But that's
for like 6
probably
months.
one of the best ways to
Yeah,
start at the
yeah,
end of
yeah,
the day.
no, you
so
was
you
just
got forced by not having the
Yeah,
budget, you
yeah,
actually
yeah.
got forced to learn in a very good way.
Yeah, I just
So
come home from school and just mix like the same 2 vinyls.
can you remember the model of the turntables and the model of
Yeah,
the
it was
mixer
a
that you started?
new Mac. I can't remember the actual product number, but it was a new Mac. But it was a belt drive turntable, so it would take ages to basically start spinning, and it was so like sensitive to mix that it was actually pretty good in a way because
If you can mix on that.
Yeah, if you can
Yeah.
mix on that, you can
Yeah.
mix on anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it did turn out okay, to be fair.
I had a similar experience. So I had Gemini TT01s, which
Mhm.
were just these super cheap, basic belt-driven turntables at the time.
Yeah.
And I had a Behringer VMX 100
Yeah.
mix, which was like a 2-channel mixer that had some like BPM counters on it that you could tap in. That was just really gimmicky, but just super basic 3-channel EQ. didn't do anything else. No effects, nothing else. Tiny little mixer. But I didn't know there was anything else available at that time. It was just what is the cheapest setup I can get. 2 turntables and a mixer, and that was it. So did you have a 2-channel mixer?
I had a Behringer as well. I can't remember the model, but yeah, same again, the Behringer, and then went on to an all-in-one kind of CD player, which is like it looks like the same as a controller is now. It was just 2 CDs and a mixing panel in between with EQs and stuff. And
did they have jog wheels?
No, you put the CD in. You'd see it was like glass, so you could see the CD spinning around in the thing.
Jesus.
And but yeah, I'll end on that as well.
Yeah, nice. Well, let's pause there before we go into any other equipment from ourselves. That's, you can just see sort of where we started. It was a while ago in the industry. It was looking about 10, 11, 12 years ago. So Holland, what was the first piece of equipment that you started with?
I bought, because the DJ who was teaching me had one and I wanted to copy him. I bought a Denon DN-HC 5000 Serato Itch controller, which was a rack-mounted, how do I describe it? Tank, absolute tank. This was back when Denon build quality is still very good to this day, but this was in the age of rack-mounted tanks.
Yeah.
Full metal construction.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, if you've ever seen one or if you Google it, you'll find out that they used to control CD players. And this was the first one that could do both. So I could put it in CD mode and connect via one of them weird pins a CD drive and control CDs with it, or I could plug it into my laptop and DJ with that. And then I paired that up to a 2-channel. I couldn't afford a mixer. I remember saving all my money and buying this Denon controller. I think got it off eBay secondhand, a bit cheaper than normal.
So the controller didn't have a mixer.
Oh, no,
it was
it's
like
just
2 players.
Yeah. So it just had two RCA outputs.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I really need a mixer. And I was like, I just didn't have any money. And I didn't know what to buy. Like the world of mixers when you're a new DJ is frightening. Yeah. I thought I really wanted this new Mac mixer because you could plug your iPhone into it. Yeah. Had a dock for your iPhone. And you could record your mixers onto your phone. So I was like, I want that, but I couldn't afford it. So I bought from Argos, which it's high quality when it comes from there, a 2-channel Numark mixer, right? And it was like the cheapest one they did. I can't remember the model name, but it was silver. It was tiny. It was so featherweight that you felt if you dropped it, that'd be it, be gone. Yeah. And I couldn't use a Crossfader at the time. And the DJ was teaching me like house music and club music blends where it wasn't really important to use a Crossfader. So I got masking tape out and stuck it to the center so it couldn't move. So I couldn't knock it when I was mixing because it used to, I'd knock it and be like, They
didn't have the on-off switches back then where you could deactivate the Crossfader like on newer controllers.
Yeah, it was horrendous. I'd love to know what actually happened to that mixer. I think I lent it out about 5 years ago and never got it back.
Did it have any like performance features in any sort? Because obviously this is a bit later than the turntable era. This is a bit, the technology.
The controller did. Yeah, the controller, it was Serato Itch, which was the version of Serato dedicated to controllers and not good controllers.
That was like the very first version of the Serato software we know nowadays.
Until recently, it was the only version of Serato that had day mode.
Yeah,
genuinely, yeah. Like honestly, it had some really, really cool features in it that took a long time to even get into Serato DJ Pro, which is amazing. But it was what am I saying? It had hot cues, I believe. It had loops.
Yeah,
and automatic loops, which was a big thing because back then CDJs you'd have to manually punch in a loop.
Yeah,
it had automatic loops, which was really lifesavering-ish at times. And that was about it. And obviously it was just very fast at loading tracks because it was your laptop doing it. I mean, I'm talking about the MacBook I had. I realized quickly, like, when you're a new DJ and you look at other DJs, you're like, oh God, I need what they've got.
Yeah, of course.
I realized that I needed a Mac laptop. Like, I couldn't be playing on this Windows that I had, this HP or whatever. So I managed to convince my dad, who was quite high up at a company at one point, that his accountant really didn't need that MacBook. So he and to be fair to the accountant, he didn't like it. He preferred Windows anyway. So they did a deal, and I got the Mac laptop. And it was one of them black ones, the black and white ones. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you just looked the part. You were like, I'm the coolest DJ.
I looked the part, but the battery in it was gone. So if anyone touched that MagSafe connector,
they
turn off.
Oh yeah,
just turn off.
Mine used to do that. Yeah.
I think that's just a common thing with Apple. The batteries.
That used to happen.
Yeah, but I was on edge every single gig I did. If anyone touches this, I'm done.
So just before we move on to Danny, one last thing that's quite interesting is you, like you said, you started in a club environment. Were you working as a light jock or behind the bar or something?
Yeah, I bought 300 Jägerbombs. They were £1 each on a Monday, and the club owner obviously took notice of me going, well, who's this idiot buying 300 Jägerbombs? And he collared me and said, would you like to be a promoter for the club because you seem quite popular? Like, I just realised you bought 300 Jägerbombs, and of course I was popular. I bought 300 Jägerbombs, but I was like, yeah, sure. It means I can get in for your club for free of charge. I was there every Monday and Saturday anyway, so I was like, yeah, definitely. So I started handing out flyers, and then by getting to know everyone, they went, oh, you're a bit of a geek. Light guy's ill or something like that. Would you like to do the lights? And I was like, what do I have to do? They were like, just smash some keyboard buttons and make the lights flash. I was like, yeah, seems easy enough. And I was talking to the DJ. I got talking to the DJ, and the DJ, I was a really, really nice guy. I mean, I owe my entire career to him. But I was obviously, as you do, if you can imagine, I was stood behind this desk, and in front of me was all my best friends. It was, I mean, everyone. I knew everyone in that club. And I knew what they wanted to listen to. Yeah. So I just tapped the DJ and go, I think back then it was like Chris Brown, Three Times.
Oh, yeah.
And David Guetta was huge back then. I remember Avicii Levels had just come out, and I was like tapping him on the shoulder and just going, what about this? What about this? What about this? And then he got my number from the manager and rang me randomly and went, I think you've got something. Would you like to learn? And I was like, yes,
It's quite interesting isn't it, that somebody else, your kind of love for it almost came from, you didn't realise that you potentially wanted to be a DJ. You know, you realised you love music and you knew the music and you knew what a crowd would want, and then suddenly you just need the tools to be able to
exactly, and that's what he told me to do, and that's why I bought the same setup as him, because I was learning with him.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Right, brilliant. Before we move on to the next piece of equipment, we've got one more. We've got Danny here. How did you start? What equipment did you start with?
So mine's very different to everyone else's. I started with pretty much backwards. So it was when I first started out DJing, I didn't have like any equipment. I just found this app on my phone.
Which app?
It was DJ Algorithm One, but it was like the first one ever. Super basic, had like no effects, like minimal EQ and a crossfader, and then just like two like virtual turntables just like spinning around that you could put, and it just showed the artwork up, and that was it.
Pretty much the Android version then.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It was like that, but on the, like, I think I had iPhone 3 at the time.
Yeah. 3GS,
yeah. I think
How many years ago was that, do you think?
Oh, I was 13, 14.
2009?
Like 8 years ago or something?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
All right.
So I was about 14, got that app, and I was just like hooked on it. Not that you could do anything fancy or anything, but I was just obsessed with going from one track to another and making it so quick as well. And I always remember, like, as a kid, I'd be like, it's so strange, but I'd be like sat in the car going somewhere with my family, and I would like, the music I'd have on in my iPod, I would be like going in beat with the window wipers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
no, we've all done that.
Yeah, and then like going past things, and I was like, oh, if we could reach that lamppost by the time this beat hits, then I've won. And
it was like a physical version of beat matching and phrasing.
Exactly,
it was like beginner skills, but you were using it in a physical way. So you were looking at your environment.
But I was doing that from like a super young age, and then I was like, then when I got this app, I was like, oh, I can actually switch songs like this, and then like try and match them together, and they like fall out. And then it was like, that was kind of like the basics of beat matching for me. And then I just got like really hooked on it, and then asked my parents like a year later if I could have this controller that would connect to it for my birthday. And it was a Newmark iDJ Live, it was called. And it was like the shape of a skateboard. It was really strange, but it was like a toy basically. It was like,
it looked like a DJ toy.
Yeah, it was like some like Fisher Price thing. It was like really bad, like really plasticky, and if you like spin the jog wheel, it would just go forever. It was like a skateboard with really good bearings that would just spin forever.
Some ABEC 5s in there.
Yeah. So it was just that connected to the phone, and then eventually, like quite far down the line, I got an iPad and plugged that in, and then so from learning like basic beat matching, like the app kept getting like updates as well, and then every time there was an update, there was more things added in. So like they would add an echo effect, and then that was like a game changer. I was like, oh my god, you can echo tracks. And
well, that's quite interesting. Even the algorithm were around 8 years ago.
Yeah,
and they had this app 8 years ago that's still around today. And recently, Holland's just reviewed the latest update with our App Academy.
It's great, isn't it?
Series, and it's a powerful app now.
It's so advanced. Yeah,
you can do everything.
It's showing that the DJ industry could go way more digital. Even still, you can video DJ on it and all sorts now. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see how far just the technology and the applications have come. And yeah, it's quite interesting that even 8 years ago you were using an app, and there's a lot of new DJs starting now using an app, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you obviously, have turned into a successful DJ, and where you started didn't affect where you've ended up in any way.
Have you noticed something about all like the common theme? I know that we've all started in different ways and started on different equipment, but we've all, I think all beginners used to be like this. We all started with Newmark and Behringer and the cheapest
entry level.
But we all learnt the basics on the cheapest equipment. Like nowadays, we've got like Pioneer DDJ 200s at unbelievably good and that's a mixer and the decks and everything in one, and it's just like off your pop and just plug a laptop in. And
so the price of what we would probably pay for 2 turntables and a mixer back then, you probably pay half of that or even a quarter of that and get twice as many features and everything.
Beginners have never had it so good.
But then I've got a big question here, is that is it a bad thing that there are so many features in some of these entry-level controllers? Because does it detract from some of those basic skills that all DJs realistically need to master and learn, like your potentially beat matching and the basics of mixing and phrasing? Yeah. If there are loads of effects on there, loads of extra performance features, does that just distract a beginner DJ?
I think yes,
where do they start?
I think you've got two sides to it. You've got the side of you've got the aids, which some DJs out there will be like, no. But you've got sync, and most recently in the Pioneer We DJ app, you've got the phrase sync as well. So you don't even need to hit play in the right place at all.
Yeah.
But if that stops a DJ or stops a potential DJ from going, I can't do this, putting it down and walking away, when potentially they could have had that helping hand, but then mastered it at a later date. I started on a laptop, and my most recent purchase was a set of 1210s.
Yeah.
So I went the wrong way round about it, and I'm still here doing it.
Yeah.
If it helps them, then I'm all for it. But yes, you're probably right. It is a bit overwhelming more than anything when you come into it. You like, especially with these apps, like we're saying, algorithms. If you go and pay the subscription fee and unlock the pro version straight away, you are literally staring at a powerhouse. And
I think it's got pros and cons in the way that it's like you buy these beginner controllers now and they do have a lot of features, and like the negative can be that it distracts the beginner from learning the actual basics. But then at the same time, if you learn the basics, you have those features there to kind of future-proof your purchase. You know what I mean? So you've bought something that you could use for another few years, learning loads of features, and become pretty advanced on a basic controller. If you look at did SP3, something like that. Like there's a lot on there that you can keep learning, but it still has all that basics there.
Yeah. That takes it back to, I'm just thinking back to when I started, and I had the 2 turntables and the mixer, but then once I felt like I'd mastered that, and I was spending so much in my pocket when I was 14 at the time, just on the actual records. One of my big things was like, I want to move further. I want to be able to play more of the music that I love and do more with that music when I'm mixing it. So then it was like, how do I save up and get a CDJ? Because that has more features. And I suppose that's the same as now. Once you master those basics, you want to have access to the next step. So it is great to see those features in the entry-level controllers. It's just to not take notice of them right away, I think.
Yeah, I'm pro advanced features. I think that all these new features and things, everyone's starting on kind of a level playing field. If you go back to when you had to have vinyls and buy loads of vinyls, and there was real art to that kind of DJing, then it took you so long to master the basics. Now you have to figure out ways, if you want to be a successful DJ, of being more creative with the features. It's not just pressing an echo out, because everyone can do that now.
And you also have, when these aids like sync and phrase sync and all these new features that are coming in, like you said, Holland, it is an aid and it's a helping hand for beginner DJs. But at the same time, all of us needed a helping hand back then, no matter what equipment we were on. We all had some form of, tuition or mentor or someone that showed us just how to do those basic things like mixing, Now, obviously, we're an online DJ school, so, there's the option to learn online, whether with us or other people. As well as one-to-one DJ schools, which weren't a thing, years ago. So it's great that the education's available there. But I think it's
a weird situation. I feel almost like the market changed. It used to be, like you said, Jamie, you'd save up and you'd go buy something to unlock that feature. You couldn't do that, so you had to go buy it.
Yeah,
you can plug. I keep going back to it, but it's a big shift, especially from Pioneer, that DDJ200, you can use it on your phone, but then you can go and plug it into Rekordbox, and you can, if you're willing to use your mouse and keyboard, key shift. You can do complex loops and routines. You can do a massive amount. It almost feels to me like the marketplace, rather than having to have the most expensive equipment to have the most features. Now it's almost like you're paying for the layout. It's like, okay, the DDJ1000 is the most expensive controller at the moment from Pioneer, current, I'm not talking about the older ones, current one. And what are you paying for? What you're paying for is the layout that when you get to a nightclub, it will look and feel like the nightclub equipment, like the professional gear. Like realistically, you can do the majority of what you can do on that on other a lot cheaper stuff. And it's like, it's changed completely from when we were starting to now. It's more like, okay, you can do it all if you really want to. You can.
While we're talking about these entry-level controllers that are available nowadays, I'll go around each of you. What would you recommend to someone who is just starting out, they've never touched a piece of DJ hardware? What would be your, obviously we all have our own preferences, and we all work with different softwares and things currently, but what would be your recommendation to a new DJ, and then any like particular reasons why?
Just start with me, I can't.
Right. Danny, do you want to start?
So I think it's a lot of it, comes down to what software you want to use to start with anyway. If you've got your heart set on one particular software, then you can start there. But I mean, if it was me, I would look at it from a point where it's like, okay, I want to go eventually be playing in clubs. And if you want to be a USB DJ, which I am now, I didn't used to be, but like it would definitely be something like the RR. So I know it's things like that aren't exactly affordable for young people, but at the same time, it's something that if you could invest in it, then it's something that's going to last you a long time.
You know what I mean?
And that's the Pioneer DJ.
The XDJ RR. So it's like the small version of the RX2. I mean, there's less features, but it is really good, and like it's so powerful for what you can do. And when you look at the program itself inside of the unit, it's so similar to the layout of a CDJ. So if you do get that club slot, you're gonna go straight to the club, and then you're gonna feel more comfortable because that's what you know at home. And it is like the industry standard equipment
like
that you're going to feel comfortable on. Exactly, And
that is a more premium product. We're looking upwards of, I think, £800-900 here in the UK.
It is expensive.
But then if you've got to take into account, if you get a cheaper controller, that controller will need a laptop as well. So you've got to factor that cost in. If you don't already own a laptop, you will probably need to get one if you're going to go for a cheaper product. So, bear in mind, even if you are using the XDJ RR, you will still have to analyze your music on some piece of software, whether it be on a computer or a laptop. So you'll need some access to a computer, but you don't need the portable aspect of it as well necessarily. So there's pros and cons to it, but that is maybe a bit more higher end, but still a very good place to start if you've got the budget.
For sure.
For me, SB3 is my favorite. When I started DJing, my kind of idols was like Jazzy Jeff, DJ Craze, so I was always into scratching, beat juggling, like the art of that. So with a kind of pad scratch feature that everyone kicked off about when it came out,
it's cool.
It's a great way to just have a reference point of what actually is scratching. And it's there's eight different scratches on there. It starts off really basic, gets a bit more intense, but for me, to have that reference point there, and it's got the basic features on any kind of standard controller as well. That is definitely, and for the price, it's actually unbelievable as well. So that is 100%. If I was starting out now, that would be my go-to 100%.
Nice. Just before we move on to Holland, obviously it was a big talking point in the industry. The DDJ SB3 from Pioneer, this pad scratch mode with these automated scratches. A lot of the scratch DJs were sort of in uproar about it, and then a lot of new DJs were like, "This is great. I've got some inspiration." It's quite nice to hear that from yourself. You love the art of scratching and the turntablism side of the industry. So it's nice to know that you welcome it.
For sure.
I just want to interject as well and say that the pad scratch mode, it's one of those things, it's not going to turn you into an amazing DJ or an amazing scratch DJ, but it is a good reference, like you say, and it's not faking it because it doesn't sound amazing. It's never going to sound as good as an actual DJ scratching, but at least you've got some reference there for the beginner DJs. If they're inspired by that, they can roll with it. So How about yourself, Holland? What would you recommend?
Oh, I've just been spending the last 5-10 minutes ripping my hair about this. In fact,
This guy's basically the geek of the office, and he's reviewing all of the equipment that comes through now, and he proper geeks out about it. So this is
a big bold claim for me.
decision.
If I put my hat down on one of them, I'm like,
I think he's going to go 200. What do you think?
no, I'm not.
No.
No. The 200 just you can't grow with it. Very well.
With you.
You can't grow with it. It needs audio ports. I'm tearing my hair out about SB3 or DDJ 400 personally.
What?
Yeah. And they're the two most popular
currently
at the moment. At recording this, I'd say they're probably the
Oh,
two
by
most
far.
popular.
Yeah, I think the 400 is a great selling device, and the reason why Danny's going what is because I was a massive hater of it at first.
Yeah, you were.
But just to interject, I'm
a Serato DJ.
Were a Serato DJ and a Serato user, so you were put off a bit more by the Rekordbox software as well.
Yeah,
because it wasn't Serato.
Yeah, my gripes with it still stand. There's still issues with it, like changing your effect. Like the changing of effects on the DDJ 400 is a joke. But I think as a DJ, probably like Loz has said, Loz has sold the SB3 with the pad scratch feature, and it is an amazing feature. But it's also the older style now of Pioneer layout on the controllers, whereas the 400 is the new style. And I think the Rekordbox ecosystem definitely has its selling points. It's cheaper because you don't need to buy a load of add-ons for it. It has great functionality. I think it gives you too much information at once. Personally, I prefer the Serato, even with the DJ Lite, the stripped back look of it.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to glance at and just know what's going on, whereas with Rekordbox, you glance at it and you're like, 2 decimal places on my BPM, that waveform, there's a related tracks, what's this tags box, there's just so much going on. But I think between them two, I think they're very similar. I don't think there's much between them, but you'd have to go that way for me. I think you do need, and another thing is with them two, they both work with an iPad, so you can plug them into Algorithm DJ as well. So them DJs that might not have the laptop, if they've got an iPad, they can plug straight into either of them controllers, plug them into set speakers, and use streaming, for example. And I think
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it's next level.
That's
Absolutely
a really
amazing.
good point, to be honest. The fact that not everyone has a laptop nowadays.
Not anymore.
A lot of
Not anymore. Yeah.
the next generation of DJs coming through are used to iPads.
Every kid,
an iPad.
every kid has an iPad.
Yeah. So, just while we're talking about what we recommend as beginner equipment, obviously this is all very much, we've got controllers here. I just wanted to bring up that, mine will probably be similar to yours, Holland, either the SB3 or the 400 currently as the market stands for just a beginner DJ getting started. To go off the SB3 though, if you really are interested in the turntablism side of the market, then Newmark have just released a Newmark Scratch mixer.
Oh,
And this is like
Absolutely amazing.
budget-friendly turntablism style mixer. And it's not just a turntablist mixer, you could just be a normal DJ and get this mix because it's a fantastic mixer. But if you are interested in that side of the industry, this is the first sort of budget turntablist style mixer that's come through. It's got paddle effects on, like
It's
the popular DJ MS9. And if you can couple that with some relatively cheap turntables to start with, you're still not breaking the bank. You're probably looking at a similar price to the XDJ RR that Danny was talking about, which there's two totally different sides of the industry. If you want to be a club DJ playing off USB, or if you want to be a turntablist playing, creating routines for Red Bull 3 style eventually, then
if you're into that kind of Red Bull freestyle thing and into scratching and all that kind of thing, you're watching them amazing DJs like JFB and Craze and things. A lot of them are using the DJ MS9, but the Newmark is essentially just a lighter version of that. But
for the price as well.
I can't get over the price.
The
I
price
really
point,
can't get over the price.
you still get pretty much every effect that you can have with the S9. Sound quality, build quality is amazing. So
the only thing I've found with it, I've got it at home at the moment because I was away when it got released. The only thing I found with it, the pads are a bit small, and I've caught the pads a couple of times. But for one drawback for a product that's £400 ish, and it comes with £200 worth of Serato license, £100 worth of inner fader inside it, so you're paying £100 for the rest of the unit. That is unbelievable.
So cheap.
yeah.
great.
Next level.
I just moving on from there, I think that there's some great pieces to kind of for people to go and Google if they are brand new DJs. Go and Google some of these products and check out the reviews that we've done and other people have done as well to find out more about those products. I hope as well up till this point, if you're a working DJ, if you've been through that beginner DJ phase, you've maybe had a bit of being able to reminisce a bit and think, I was around at that era when you know some of us started, and think about the equipment that you were using at the time.
CDJs.
Drop a comment if you're watching this via the video on YouTube. Drop a comment what your first DJ setup was. If you're just listening via a podcast app, then reach out to us on Instagram at We Are Crossfader.
The forums as
or
well.
the forum on our website is a great place. You can share pictures of your setup. You could even share the pictures of an old setup if you've got some old pictures. So check out the website, wearecrossfader.co.uk.
Tune of the week.
So my tune of the week this week has got to be, I've just been listening to George Fitzgerald, Rollback, super epic tune. It's been one of the ones playing in my car. I'm definitely going to start putting it into sets. It's a really nice tune.
Yeah.
Next.
Mine is AJ Tracy, Ladbroke Grove.
Amazing tune.
Shout out to the garage crew. It's like the old school garage UK vibe, and I literally play it about 3 or 4 times a week in my DJ sets, in my car, at the gym. Not been to the gym in a few weeks, but yeah. AJ Tracy, Ladbroke Grove is my tune of the week.
Cool. Mine's Toto by... No, it's not really. Mine has to be the Stormzy and Ed Sheeran, Take Me Back to London.
Yeah.
Absolute
tune.
Banger.
Best tune on the album by far.
No, you're incorrect there.
It's the Eminem and 50 Cent one.
Nope, you're still incorrect.
It's not the Justin Bieber one.
No, it's definitely not that one. It's the best tune of the album's the Best Part of Me.
So why is that not your tune of the week then?
Because I can't play that out loud. That's for getting soppy with misses.
Mine is Lightning by Octavian, but the Ross from Friends remix.
Oh,
that
Ross from
that
Friends.
is left field.
Mate, it is honestly so sick.
What? Ross from Friends? Is that
That's an artist, yeah.
Never.
He's like, no, I swear to God, he's like some like lo-fi house guy.
No
he's like
way.
so
Not
sick.
heard of
Ross
this
from
before.
Friends? Nah.
Yeah.
You're not?
Nah.
Everyone
Ross from
hates
Friends,
him.
Well, yeah, I'm the biggest Friends fan there is.
Yeah, everyone hates Ross.
Ross from Friends. I'll show you it.
I'm going to
Ross
send him
from
some
Friends,
hate.
yeah.
And that rounds up our tune of the week.
Yeah.
Tune of the
Yeah.
week.
To move back into this discussion, there's some other important things that we need to have as beginner DJs. Things like speakers, headphones, certain cables, even if you're not just using a controller. These are other things that a lot of beginner DJs struggle with. Like, where do I start? How much money do I need to spend to get started? Do I really need monitor speakers, or can I just use my the aux from my hi-fi system? This is important stuff as well.
Loz has brought his beginner headphones with him
I've
today.
got my beginner headphones. I lost mine, so I had to buy some emergency £29 ones from an airport.
£29 from an airport. Have you been using them in gigs?
I've been using them in clubs for about 3 months.
So it just shows you don't need the best that's out there.
No,
absolutely. As long as you know what you're
Still
doing.
waiting for Sennheisers.
Yeah. So some of the popular brands that I know a lot of us have used, Sennheiser has been sort of an industry standard for a lot of club working DJs. What is it, the HD25s? They're pretty much like the go-to, but they are a bit more expensive.
Really expensive.
£120-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so if you're a beginner DJ spending £250 on a controller, to spend half of that again just on headphones is a lot. But I'd recommend definitely getting some headphones to plug in, because you're going to need some to learn
Don't
how
buy
to beat
Beats.
match. Yeah,
don't.
they're even more expensive.
Don't buy
So,
Don't buy Beats.
Don't buy Beats.
Sick of seeing people show up with Beats.
Don't buy Beats if you're a DJ.
I would
Buy
say
Beats
Beats are good for running.
Buy
Yeah.
Beats if you're a Premier League football player.
Yeah.
I'd say if you were to get headphones, don't go for. My opinion is don't go for DJ brands.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but like I've had Pioneer headphones.
The cheap ones are pretty bad out.
But I loved my 1200 ones though.
Yeah, but they broke. Right?
Oh, they broke. Yeah. I mean, I had 3 pairs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
I've had Sennheisers and other headphones, and I think the best headphones you can get are people that actually are known for making headphones.
Yeah.
I think
I see what you mean.
one of the key things with DJ headphones, and it seems to be overlooked all the time, is just having a single cable. Rather than, if you look at what Loz has got right with the 2 cables, one to each cup.
Oh, right.
That's the only thing
see
I
what you
think
mean.
can get a bit annoying.
Yeah.
I think
So-
if you can get a pair of headphones with one cable,
Yeah.
And obviously you'll need an adapter to make it a bigger jack, a 1/4 inch jack, whatever it is.
My main tip to a lot of new DJs is obviously if you can go to a store and try them on, that's the prime thing really, because you're going to be wearing them for a long time. So comfort is a big thing to think about. You don't want headphones that are going to start hurting your ears or your head if you're wearing them for eventually 4 or 5 hours if you're doing long sets. Or that's one of the big things. Sound quality, I don't think sound quality is the most important, because all you're doing is queuing up your songs and checking you're at the right place in the song, checking that the tracks are beat matched. The quality should be coming out of the speakers if you're playing, if you're getting speakers to play at a party or if you're playing in a club, that's where the quality is going to come from. Yep. The headphones are there just for reference. So spend the money on comfort. Obviously, you want some sort of quality. Just going back to quality, a good low end in DJ headphones.
Yeah, big.
You want the thump of the kick, the thump of the low end of the music, so that you can get your timing right and get it beat.
You want some isolation.
Don't go on,
definitely.
Don't go on Amazon Choice. Pick the top $12.99 brand. Yeah,
try them on. Make sure they're isolating. By that, what I mean, if you don't know what isolation is, make sure when you put them on, you hear as little on the outside as possible.
Yeah, like with headphones, there's always open back and close back. So close back basically means that there's no chance of the sound getting out
it's isolated.
of the headphones that way.
You need the headphone cup to make a good purchase with your ear. Either go around your entire ear or sit firmly against it. So because in a loud club, if you've got what you call sound leak, if outside noise is getting in, it just becomes a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, you basically want to be able to isolate what you're hearing over a big loud sound system.
Go and try them though.
Yeah, definitely go try them. This is the hard thing. A lot of people maybe aren't close to DJ shops or somewhere that has a lot of headphones available to just get out the box and try. So it is a tricky thing. If you are just getting started, don't worry about getting something relatively cheap. As long as you can hear, you're in your bedroom environment, you don't need something that's going to be pumping away. It just needs to be there as a reference. But then if you are going to be playing in clubs, like we've mentioned, make sure you can isolate that sound. Just going back to the HD25s and other, you've got to think about this in headphones as well. If you're going to make them stand the test of time, like how replaceable are the parts? The HD25s, each section of the headphone can be replaced easily. And other headphones that I know DJs have got, something's broken and that's the whole headphone gone to waste and they've had to buy a whole new product.
That's one thing with the DJ companies. 9 times out of 10, they're not replaceable parts. They're all, it's one unit with a replaceable cable and that's it. But
the Technics headphones of the old days. They were just like the snap, the cheap plastic on the headband, the snap, that's it. Bin the entire thing.
Cool. So headphones. That's a good overview. It's one of those tricky topics.
It is a tricky one.
Another thing that all DJs are going to need, they're going to need to hear the music that they're playing out loud. So
speakers.
Your speakers and
bigger the better.
Here comes the KRK crew.
If you have watched DJs online or you've seen DJ videos of people in the bedrooms, 9 times out of 10 they will have some sort of what you call monitor speakers, and what this means is it doesn't need a separate amplifier. The cables go directly from your controller or your equipment into the back of the speaker,
and they work.
It's called an active speaker. They are a bit more expensive. But you don't have to have an
less
amp.
hassle.
So you don't have to have an amp as well as speakers to power them. So that's something worth considering. We'll break a few brands down in a second. But then the opposite side of the spectrum is you could have big PA speakers and an amplifier to power.
Sorry,
setup.
Just to interject, not to say what you've said there is kind of correct, but monitor speakers as general are smaller speakers that are just for monitoring the sound, as in listening to what you're producing, if you know what I mean, or listening to what you're putting out to the PA. If you're in
like you're not going to take your monitors to a party and be like, "Oh, this is." You shouldn't
do. They're more for reference. What you've just described, a passive speaker is when you've got an amplifier. I actually do have a set of monitors that are passive. They do have an amplifier.
Okay.
They used to be a lot bigger. When they used to be a lot cheaper, so that's why they used to be more popular when we were beginning. But these days, the majority of monitor speakers, like you say, are active. I mean, you'd be hard pushed to find some that aren't anymore. So I didn't want to correct you.
Active, passive.
I just know what keyboard warriors are like out there. They'll jump all over that.
I think let's talk about those first then. So there's a few brands out there. What has everyone owned in the past? Like, what did you have when you started? And what do you own now?
Here we go. Here comes KRK crew.
No, so my first speaker was the first ever Beat speaker.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, it was a beat.
Wow.
It was like it's called the Beats Beatbox, I think it's called, and I still use it. It's plugged into my TV at home.
Really?
I still use it today.
What does it look like? A cylinder one?
No,
Like a
it
cylinder?
was like
No,
it's
it's
kind of
like
like a bit like a Toblerone without the top on. It
Like
was
a-
like
like a-
really
like a
strange, but like
triangle.
yeah, a little
Really?
bit like not facing up, like laid down.
I've
but
never
like,
even seen that.
It's pretty
Oh,
good. I'll
yeah,
take a
I've seen
picture of it
one.
and
Yeah,
show you
yeah,
later.
yeah.
But it's like it's
Old school.
it's like I've had that since I was 14. I did like my first ever party with the speaker.
Nice.
I still use it today. Like
Wow.
it's been good, but then eventually
Credit.
it moved on to standard KRKs, which is just like I know a lot of people hate on them, but for DJing and like just hearing what you're doing,
They get the sound
they're
out. They go
fine.
loud.
Like
Yeah.
they are really fine. Like they don't sound amazing, but they do the job
I think
fine and the cheap.
It's a good balance between
Yeah.
value
It's a
and
massively
quality.
good balance. Yeah, the
100%,
value
yeah.
of
it's
KRKs
really
is
good.
really
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Yeah, I've got KRKs.
Everyone has KRKs because
I've
they're
got
yellow.
I've got Rocket 8s. They look cool.
Every DJ you see on YouTube now, there's always that yellow cone. In
Yeah,
the
yeah,
corner.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
we
yeah.
use them here.
Got the yellow
Danny's
cone.
got them. Loz has got them. Everyone has KRKs because they're good value for money out there.
Yeah,
they're
they
not
are.
the greatest sounding speakers. So if you're wanting to get into producing, forget it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What I will say though is any reference speaker, you have to learn. This is production show. I won't go too into it, but you have to learn what your speaker does. So
Yeah.
even if it's not that great, if you can know what it does, bass, highs, mids, and then
Yeah, I mean,
that's how you reference it.
KRKs
But
are cool for DJing.
yeah,
Like,
they're
don't-
great. They're fine. They're fine.
But again, that does go back to DJing, because I remember when I started, I was just plugging into the aux of this little hi-fi system that had, the wired speakers coming out of it. And I remember specifically like the way I was doing my EQs and mixing on them, it sounded good in that environment and on those speakers.
Yeah.
And then when I upgraded and got some better speakers, I was like,
Whoa.
whoa, I'm doing all this.
You can hear like
Sounds
ad-libs
well
and
different,
backing
yeah.
tracks
Yeah.
and things
Suddenly
like
it
that.
sounded totally different. The same style of EQing that I was doing sounded totally different. And then again, when you go into clubs, suddenly you're feeling the bass,
Yeah.
not just hearing it. So
Totally.
you get another element in there. So, it is important to learn your speakers and learn how they kind of sound compared to other speakers as well. And obviously that will
And you
happen
need-
as you DJ more and more.
You
but
need to look at the size of the room you're putting them in. I see
Yeah.
if you're just at home now and you're just beginning and you're looking online and you're going, oh, that's a 6-inch cone, that's an 8-inch, that's a 10-inch, and you're thinking bigger must be better. I need bigger.
Yeah.
No.
If you're in a small room,
Bedroom, if
believe
you're in
me,
a bedroom.
6-inch speakers kick ass.
Yeah.
They're really good.
I've got
Like,
I've got 6-inch in my studio. They're perfect for
Yeah.
all you
putting
need.
mixes together.
As daft as it sounds, you can overpower it very easily, and then when you're having to turn them down because it's too loud for your room,
Yeah.
you turn them down, you're not getting the potential of the speaker, and also it can sound not as good if they're not meant to be run that low.
Yeah.
You're gonna waste your money and your time and whatnot. So, I know we keep saying go try something, but maybe just go and see a friend maybe that's got a set and look at the size of the room they're in, because small rooms do not need big speakers. We use 6-inch, they're tiny. They're
Yeah.
fives,
Yeah.
Rocket
Yeah,
fives.
Rocket
We've got
fives.
Rocket 5s in our studio, and we have never, ever
No.
needed a bigger speaker.
No way.
And we're in a big recording studio, and we've never needed a bigger speaker.
So the time you would need a bigger speaker. So there's a lot of DJs out there that do a lot of functions and events and parties, and that's at that beginner level, or not necessarily beginner, but when you're starting out as a DJ, there's some of the first opportunities you get is to play at friends' parties and things, and suddenly you find, well, I've already got these little active speakers. What am I going to use now? And then that's where you've got this next thing to think
Jump
about.
up, yeah.
You've got to get PA speakers and an amplifier. Now, obviously, I would probably recommend at the start, if you're not doing this long term, rent them.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Factor that
yeah,
into your
100%,
cost
yeah.
and rent
For
a
sure.
good system and factor that into
Yeah.
whatever you're charging whoever's party it is.
Yeah.
But if it's an avenue that you're going to go down and pursue, then there's obviously a big market of speakers there to think about as well.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't my forte. I don't know if anyone's got any recommendations around potential brands, or is there a minimum amount you're going to have to spend to get something worthwhile? Like,
I mean, I've done a few private functions, and my friend is the one I get the hire equipment from. He comes in and sets it all up, and it's just cheaper and easier for you to do that other than buying them yourself for sure. I think mine was about £140 for the whole night. Whereas if you're going to buy them, you're talking thousands.
Good.
Yeah.
I rent all my gear as well now. I used to work for a rental company as well. But when I first started doing, like you said, when I was just coming out of DJing, in my bedroom and starting to go to do private parties, I'd borrow them, to be fair. I wouldn't buy them, they weren't mine. But they were always massive speakers with massive, really, really, really heavy amplifiers. Yeah. And they were horrible to set up and horrible to cart about. Times have changed. A lot of things are active now. So like we said before, they have amplifiers built into them. Even the big PA speakers now. I've used HK Element systems. They're very expensive. Bear in mind, I won't recommend you go out and buy them. But just to give you an idea, if you want to have a Google and just look at what I'm talking about, these are speakers that are sold in like packages. So you buy the subwoofer of your size, and then you buy the tops of your size, and they just clip together. You plug your XLR from your controller straight into it. Boom, you're off. I mean, some of them even have a screen on the back, and you can tell it what kind of room you're in. I'm in a church hall, or I'm in a nightclub, or I need to keep the bass down, and it EQs it for you, and just plug in, go, and they're a lot lighter and cheaper than ever before. I mean, they're still talking 4 figures. Yeah. But compared to the olden days where you used to be specialist equipment and big amplifiers, them days are thankfully starting to leave us now.
Plug and play.
The only time you have amplifiers now really is big nightclubs. And we don't need to cover that.
Nice. Well, I think we've kind of hit that point where we've really wrapped our head around the beginner DJ equipment industry, where we're at in the industry right now, and where it's, how far it's come in the last 10 years, especially. I hope that what we've talked about has given some insight to any new DJs out there and provided some maybe fun times to reminisce for anyone that's been through any of these eras that we've been through as well.
I feel old.
Yeah. I think
it's amazing how the technology's come on.
And thinking about the future, in the next 10 years, where could this go? It really is so open-ended, and the way that technology is advancing, we really don't know what is coming next, but there is a lot coming.
Streaming.
Streaming is going to be integrated.
Streaming
big
clubs
time.
will be the next big thing.
I mean, let's just do last 2 minutes. That's a big thing where beginner DJs get the music and source the music. It started with us buying records and then downloading music and burning it to CDs. And then CDs. Now suddenly, we don't buy CDs anymore. We don't buy, unless you're collecting records. We all stream music. So that's the next big thing in the DJ industry, is everyone's trying to integrate streaming into their platforms. And obviously there's a lot being launched at the moment. We've got Beatport Link in Rekordbox that's just been announced and released after this beta, and then
we've got Den on DJ actually put them in the players. I mean, that's just
there we go, which has got SoundCloud Go, Tidal,
Beatport Link,
D's, I think as well, potentially. Beatport, Serato's got streaming involved now, and Tractor's going to have streaming involved soon as well. SoundCloud Go, so there's a premium SoundCloud service that you can subscribe to and then access within a lot of the DJ softwares now. So it's a big thing to think about as a beginner DJ is, are you going to buy and own your music and download it, or are you going to stream it? If you're streaming it, you need a Wi-Fi.
That's not the legality of it. It's not exactly legal at the moment. I'm sure they'll work that out in time, but another thing is bootlegs, extended mixers, DJ tools. Us DJs, we don't play radio edits, do we? So, do you know what I mean? 9 times out of 10 we don't. 9 times out of 10 we don't. And as of yet, and I've not been on the Beatport Go yet. We've actually not tested that yet, have we? But when I do, hopefully I'll find some extenders in there. But at the moment, DJing from Spotify sounds amazing until you try it, and then you're like, oh, everything starts with a vocal.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's a fine line. You've got to really search through these streaming platforms if they're not dedicated DJ ones like Beatport Link. Spotify, you can access the world of music, but as a DJ, it might not be that practical, like you say. That's where record pools come in. A lot of us are obviously signed up to DJ record pools, 2 or 3 to mention, things like DJ City, BPM Supreme, Digital DJ Pool. There are loads out there. You can just Google them, and they're really good sources of music as well, because they're for DJs. They have edits of songs on there that are extended. Built by DJs. Yeah, exactly that. So that's another thing really worth looking at.
Definitely.
We're not going to go deep into that topic right now, but music is a big part of beginner DJs. Things to think about.
I mean, long gone are the days of CD wallets.
Yep.
Thank God.
Yep.
It's so heavy.
And before then, the
crates.
Vinyl crates.
I bet people don't realise why Serato crates are called crates, do they?
Yeah. Probably old record crates.
Why is it not called a playlist Serato?
Yeah.
That just shows that they were one of the first.
Oh, it was DVS, wasn't it? Yeah. That's why it was called a crate, because you literally had to carry a crate.
Story time.
So this is a story about the first time I met Jazzy Jeff, which is also one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. So I was on a set with DJ Jazzy Jeff, and I was like so nervous all day. And I'd finished my set. There was a DJ on after me, and then Jazzy Jeff was playing as well. Just a small, like, intimate club in Leeds. And I was like so nervous to meet him, and he came in, and you know there was a doorman there, so I couldn't really like get close to him, and I was pretty much stood at the front of his whole set. So as his whole set's going on, you know, drinking and getting like more and more kind of nervous. I went to try and like high five him when I was DJing, and like the doorman kind of like slapped my hand away. And I thought like at one point I was like going to get kicked out. So I was like, so obviously his set was like unbelievable, and I was like just like a big bag of nerves and like alcohol. So anyway, he finishes his set, and then he goes like round the back way, like towards like the toilet is. So I'm like, all right, I just need to get my picture. I need to get my picture for the gram. I need to get a selfie. So I'm just like outside the toilet, and I'm just like, oh, this is a bit weird. I'm outside the toilet. I don't want a picture outside the toilet. So in my drunken state, I decided to go inside the toilet. Like that's any better. And then I'm stood like by the sink, and then he comes out of the toilet and his manager's there with him. I'm like, Jazzy, I'm such a big fan. I was like DJing on before you. You know, can I get like a picture, a handshake? And he's like, oh, bro, can I like wash my hands first? So there is a picture of me on my Instagram with Jazzy Jeff in a toilet.
We might as well shout out your Instagram so everyone can go.
Amazing.
DJ Lawrence James. I'll repost it.
Wash your hands after
It
you
was a couple of years ago. So
I think everyone needs to like tweet Jazzy Jeff now. The link to this podcast and be like, check
Oh,
out
my
whatever
days.
time it's at.
So yeah, Jazzy, if you're listening, I was that weird guy in a toilet, but he took the picture. He was so nice about it. So
Fair play.
what a legend.
Cool guy.
Yeah.
Good guy.
So I think that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, we've got the recording online as well if you just want to nosy in at behind the scenes here at Crossfader. We're going to be trying to do these quite regularly, so please subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening via iTunes, then leave a review and a rating. It'll really help the podcast grow. Remember, we are Crossfader. We're all in this together. We're going to get some ideas from the community. If you want us to cover anything in this podcast, then reach out either on our community forum, which you mentioned earlier, at our website, wearecrossfader.co.uk. It's free to sign up, and then in the student portal area, once you've signed up for free, you can access the community forum and put some ideas in there. Or you can just reach out to us on Instagram at wearecrossfader, or just obviously drop a comment if you're watching on YouTube down below. I just want to say thank you again for listening. This is an exciting new thing that we're starting, and thanks to everyone that's sat here today.
Yeah, man, it's been good. Thanks for listening.
Cool.
Cheers.
We'll see you next time.
In a bit.
Bye.
Bye.
Can I have some applause?
Top one, yeah. Yeah. Hey.